In this video, I will read some excerpts from the medieval provincial law of Östergötland in Sweden, my home province. The chapter I'll be reading from is called bygdabalk, and it's the part of the law that concerns farming, land division, forestry and hunting and so on. And it can give us some interesting insights into medieval life in Sweden. I will read the text first, and then afterwards I will go through the grammar and vocabulary of the language to explain what it means.
Nu ganga män efter älgjom. Nu resa ser djur och fa fjett och fara efter. Nu lata ser fjett löst. Nu ma ängen a sera fjett ganga, förrän trea näter är ote. Nu ganger man efter och fälle djur. Komma ser till som djur hava rest, sa ahor ser djur som resto. Nu hava ser släppt fjätti som resto, och ganga ut trea näter. Komma andri och fälla djur, sa ahor ser djur som fällt hava, och ser gangin fran som vill då fjätts göma. Nu varder man för i skall och skjoter djur, sa han skottbåg och halva knek. Nu fara män efter djure och fylja annars mans hunde, sa hunder halvan mans lot. This can be translated to Nu ganga män efter älgjum. Now men go after elk or moose. Nu resa ser djur och fa fjett och fara efter. Now they raise an animal, make it move, and get a trail and follow it. Nu lata ser fjett löst. Now they let the trail go. Nu ma ängen a sera fjett ganga, förrän trea näter är ote. Now may none go in their tracks until the 3 nights have passed. Nu ganger man efter och fäller djur. Now a man goes after and fell, which means to kill, an animal. Komma ser till som djur hava rest, sa aho ser djur som resto. If they who first hunted the animal come there, they have the right to the animal that they hunted. Nu hava ser släppt fjätti som resto. Now the ones who first raced and chased the animal leave the trail. Och gango ut 3 näter, and 3 nights pass. Komma andri och fälla djur. Others come and kill the animal. Sa aho ser djur som fällt hava. Then they have the right to the animal that they have killed. Och ser gangin fran som ville fjätts göma. And those who first follow the trail ought to or should walk away. Nu varder man för i skall och skjoter djur. Now a man ends up in front of the chase, or I would translate skull as the shouting, the line of men who shout to drive the animals before them, and shoots an animal. Tha han skottbåg och halva knek. Then he has a shot piece of the animal and a half backbone. Nu fara män efter djure och fylja annars mans hunde. Now there are men who follow an animal and follow another man's hound, hunting dog. Tha hunder halvan mans lot. Then the dog has a right to half a piece, which is usually for a man. First of all, I will talk about some of the vocabulary. First is älgjom, which is dative plural of älger, which is cognate to English elk. But in North America, most people call this animal moose. And it's not the same as the American elk. It's a European elk. Resa is related to English race, but in this context it means to make an animal move, to stand up, to raise it up, because animals take cover and hide from hunters. Fara is the basic word meaning to go or to travel in general. Compare the German word fahren. Fa means catch or get, and in this context it means they get a trail. Aga is cognate to English own, and it also means ought, which is also related to, and here it usually means has the right to or should. Djur means wild animal, and is cognate to English deer, and this word is the basic word for animal in most Germanic languages. The sentence efter älgjom is in dative case, and this is because following implies dative case. For example, the verb fylja takes dative. Therafjett means their trails. The word thera is actually the same word as English there. Engin is the indefinite masculine pronoun. A therafjett ganga. Here fjett is an accusative case, meaning movement, walk into their tracks. Dative means being at a place, and accusative means moving into a place. The word fjett is interesting because it shows Indo-European ablaut, and it's derived from the same root as the word foot. And having a word derived from the same root as foot, but with a different ablaut grade to mean trail or tracks, makes a lot of sense. This is a good example of how it's not just verbs that have ablaut, but also related words. 3 nätter är ute. This means after 3 nights. This is an accusative case because accusative means time span and dative means point in time. For example, if this sentence were thrim natum, it would mean at 3 nights, at 9 time. But 3 nätter means time span of 3 nights, 3 days. Fälledjur. This is the subjunctive form of the verb fälla, which means to fell or kill. There are some forms of subjunctive left in English, such as if he were. Subjunctive usually means something that's hypothetical or not truly known. Verbs take cases. For example, släppt fjätti. Here the verb släppa takes dative case. Fjätts göma. Here the verb göma takes genitive case. Släppa means let go of, and göma means heed or keep in mind. Here's another subjunctive, but in plural. Ser gangen fran. They ought to go away. And those who wanted to keep the trail ought to go away. This implies a kind of uncertain or not truly attested. Here the verb varder, infinitive varda, is used, and is the basic word to mean becomes or turns, and it's the same word as German werden. Halva knek is a feminine noun in accusative, and it means back leg. Here you can see the feminine accusative adjective with a. Here we see following taking dative again, hunde, diore. And we also see the genitive case, annars mans, another man's, where annars agrees with mans. Halvan lot is accusative, masculine. Luther means peace and lot in this example, but it can also mean thing in general in many ways. Nu ligger Görbyr och gammal, höga byr och hednobyr. Nu ligger han gen allmänninge, nu skil thema skall. Tha a standa a äldsta jädre och öpa. Tha dagrin är dövaster. Sätter mellom båtalsmässo och midsommars. Thit skall byr aga, som åp förhöra. I skall gen allmänningi. Nu mötis by och allmänninger i Wattni. Tha skall tacka nio allna langt skip och städja. Stamni wassi och annan otad djop. Tha skall standa i eftra stamne och havaski hande, hacka skaft och kasta ater över axelsik. Adjop at. Age swa byr som ytterst farkastat och sätter allmänninger som otaner. Now there's an old and historic village. Now this old and historic village lies right next to the common land. Now they need to decide the borders between the common land and the village. Then somebody should stand at the oldest border and shout, where the day is the clearest. This is between Båtalsmäss and Midsummer. The village shall own as far as the shout is heard, in the border against the common land. Now the village and the common land border in the water. Then should be taken a 9 eln long ship and put one end of the ship in the reed and the other end pointing to the deep. Then you should stand in the back stem and have in hand a hook shaft and throw it over your shoulder to the deep. The village owns the furthest it's thrown, and everything further away than that belongs to the common land. Here we can also see some interesting examples of sentences where there are no grammatical subjects, just plain verbs and objects, and it's inferred through context and grammar what's happening. The word gör is an adjective, and it means complete and ready. It's from Proto-Norse garwaj. This root is also found in Swedish göra, which means to do, and German gar, which means done or ready with food, for example. It originally meant prepare, and there's a remnant of this root in English in the old word gär. There's also alliteration. Gör, gammal, höga, hedno. This is the traditional Germanic verse, and it's still very common in medieval Swedish laws. Byr is the word meaning village or town. Allmänninger means the common land, and it's composed of all men ing. Höga is the genitive plural of mounds, and it means mounds as in pre-Christian burials. Hedno is an genitive form of a feminine noun, hedna, which means the heathendom or the old heathen days. Means that the village is old and was established before Christianity. Gen allmänninge, next to the common land. This preposition, gen, is the same as English against and German gegen, and it takes dative case. The word skall means border or separation here, but much like the verb it's related to, skilja, it can also mean reasoning or understanding, and it's actually borrowed into English as skill. The verb öpa and the noun it's derived from, åp, means yell or shout, and it's from an earlier Germanic wåpian and wåpa, and it's actually cognate to English weep, and the meaning shout, cry, isn't that far off. The preposition mellum takes genitive case, and it's derived from the same root as middle in English, and it could literally mean in the middle of X, genitive case. The word jädre is a dative form of the word jädr, and it means the end or edge of a field. Dövaster is the masculine nominative agreeing with dagr, meaning day, and it refers to calm and still weather with good sound, so you can hear the yell. And this word is actually cognate English deaf, as in hearing bad. The verb städja means to place or to stop, and is derived from the root stadr, the same word as English stead, which means place. Alna is genitive plural, and it's the same word as English el, as an elbow, and it means the lower arm, an old historical measurement, roughly meaning 50 centimeters. Wasse and stamne are dative singular of the words was and stamn, meaning reeds and stem of a boat, respectively. There's actually a short poem in this law, and there are many examples of poetic formula in the medieval Swedish law. Tha skall standa I eftra stamne och havaski hande hacka skaft och kasta ater I vraxelsik.